pretty much in every single game over the weekend. It was a really impressive performance overall. Even got a game away from one of the top teams in the nation. Just talk about the series and how you felt how the girls played.
Well, it was a very, very good series. Great atmosphere. They had big crowds both days, and just 2 or 3 really competitive games. It was a lot of fun. It was typical Angelo State, West Texas A&M softball. Back and forth, a lot of intensity, and just neither game got away from anybody. And even though we had a 10-3 lead there in game 3, we just knew we got to keep scoring. We got to keep scoring. Sure enough, here they come, and they made it interesting there at the end. But I was proud of our girls being able to go up there and compete in all 3 games and have a chance to win all 3 games and be able to pull out that game 3 and secure that 3 spot. And we're not sharing that 3 spot with anybody. And when you look at the turnaround from last year's, being the 7th seed going into the tournament, and now we're the 3 seed. So that's I'm proud of our girls for what they've accomplished this year.
Now the long ball actually ended up being a factor for y'all this weekend. It's something that y'all haven't had as much of on offense up until this point. Talk about that for a minute. How awesome was it that y'all had a bunch of home runs?
Well, I thought we really competed against our pitchers very well. Last year, Boyer, she shut us down pretty good. We didn't have a ton of success off of her, but we stepped out and hit her pretty good, so that was encouraging. And Vortham's, who we've hit a little bit better in the past, she kind of shut us down there for a while, but we kept battling, kept chipping away, and hung 3 on her. So they've got a great team. Obviously, they've had an incredible season, but our players, going into the playoffs now, I think we have to have gained confidence this past weekend. They know that they can go beat West Texas A&M at their facility because we just did it, and that's massive going in. If we'd have went up there and got smoked 3 times, that probably wouldn't have been a great feeling going into the postseason. But the opposite happened. So our team's feeling pretty good, and I'm just really happy.
And at this point in the season, moving into the postseason, of course, every coach wants their team to be playing their best ball at this point, and I think y'all are pretty close to that right now. What kind of confidence does that give you specifically? And then, because you just talked about the girls, but moving into the conference tournament and then even beyond that? Well,
we used all of our pitching staff this past weekend. They all got innings. They all competed really well. The off-speed stuff kind of threw them off a little bit, so we used that quite a bit against them because they do have such power. But they hit some balls hard. We made some plays. We made a few mistakes, but for overall, we played really good defense. And just to kind of go on to a different topic, this was it's what I told our players after game 1. We had our bye last weekend. And I've been doing this a long time, and I do believe that we came out this past weekend and probably played the best post-bye weekend series that I can remember. Usually, when you have that weekend off and you kind of lose that rhythm, it seems to take a little bit to get back into that rhythm. So, I was proud of the way that they inter-squatted this past week. Obviously, that helped, and they just showed up and played really good, and I was happy about that, of course. But this team they just doing things the right way, and that chemistry, that team chemistry, all the things that we've talked about all year long is helping out in difficult situations, which we were in this past week. And it's going to be a fun tournament. You got the Lone Star Conference tournament, and you got 10 teams there, and any of the 10 teams could win the thing. And we're in a good spot, so I'm happy with where we are. We're pretty healthy. We did have a couple little tweaks here and there this weekend, but I don't think it's anything that's going to be hamper anybody from playing this week. So I think we're going to be able to go up there with all 19 players ready to go.
Coach, Lauren De La Cruz and Tatiana had big weekends, each giving this team a burst of energy with their respective homers. Lauren with 2. What's the growth been like from both of those athletes looking at the beginning of the season, now closing?
Well, Tatiana's had a great year. She's hitting, I think, 371. She had a huge weekend for us. Had been in a little bit of a slump the last couple of weeks after not having a slump the whole season. So that was huge for her. And I think she raised her batting average from around 350 up to around 371. Hit a couple more home runs, added to her triples total. Just really was confident and comfortable in the batter's box. She wasn't fooled by a lot, and And then when you talk about Lauren Dela Cruz, you know, that's a player who, of course, broke her or had an injury, had an injury in game 1 of the season as a starter and was out and missed a lot till around spring break, I think, and you know, had a couple of good games for us, and then she kind of hit a little spell where nothing was working for her, so we had to put her back to the bench and decided to give her the opportunity the other day, and she really provided a huge spark, hit 2 home runs, and, you know, first 2 of the year, so that was big and could be really huge for us if we can get that power out of her here in the future. So we're in a good spot. Like I said, we got a lot of players that got a lot of playing time this past week as well, and you know, proud of Abby Brand, stepped in as a freshman in game 3, and Keely was having a little bit of a rough weekend, so we decided to give her a little bit of a break, and Abby really played well, had 2 hits, and did a great job behind the plate. So we kind of got an opportunity to look into the future, and the future looks pretty good.
And then my last question, LSC Tournament this week, taking on Lubbock Christian. Y'all picked up the 2-1 victory early just a couple weeks ago. Does that kind of give y'all a little help knowing y'all just saw them versus not earlier in the season?
Yes and no. I mean, it just kind of depends on what aspect you want to look at. It is what it is, and whenever we played them, that's when we played them. But you know, obviously both teams are going to be real familiar with what just happened. We did take 2 at their place. Now we'll be at a neutral site. So you know, they've got a talented team. They've got 2 really good pitchers. You know, Valdez has been around this conference for a long time and had a lot of success. They've got a lot of offensive weapons. I think they're setting their 3 or 4 in the conference in batting average. They can hit for power. They can run. So, you know, it's a really good team. Tough matchup, but that's what happens when you're in the 3 and you get the 6th seed, and the 6th seed just happened to be a really good team. But you know, it could have been anyway. If we'd have drawn St. Mary's, it'd been the same conversation. If you'd have drawn Oklahoma Christian, it'd been the same conversation. So that's just the nature of the Lone Star Conference softball. There's no gimmick, and you know, our team will be prepared. I'm sure they will be as well, and it should be a competitive matchup. And then, you know, if you do win that one, you do have to play 2 games in one day. So you got that challenge ahead of you as well, getting ready for your next opponent. Could be UT Tyler, or it could be that 8-9 winner. So we'll just have to see, and we just got to take it one game at a time and go up there and get after it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.